What if I told you that JavaScript has a hidden superpower for handling asynchronous tasks built right into the browser, right? No libraries, no need of RxJS, just pure native magic. And today, that's what we are going to be looking at, the native observable API, which got introduced into JavaScript, I think last December. It is still in the experimental phase, and I'll show you how to enable it in your browser, and I'll show you a couple of examples of how it can be really useful in those scenarios that we'll be looking at, right? So let's explore how it works, why it matters, and how you can use it today. Let's go straight to the video. All right, to enable observables in Chrome, first thing you have to make sure you're running Chrome on its latest version and just update the browser. After that, just take a new tab and type in Chrome //flag/. So this is something that has a lot of features which we can enable and disable by default. Mostly the experimental features. So what we're gonna do is we'll search for experimental JavaScript. So here it was disabled for me previously, but I enabled it. What you have to do is go here, enable web pages to use experimental JavaScript features. So like I mentioned earlier, this is still in the experimental phase. So this is a proposal that was brought forward in December 2024, and it has only been 3 months. So usually when a proposal like this comes, it usually takes some time to make sure it is stable, it is tested across a lot of devices and a lot of versions, compatibility issues and whatnot. We are not going to go into any of those. So what you have to do is just enable this, and you will be prompted to restart the browser, and once the browser is restarted, you can start using this experimental feature. Now let's go into the code, and so I've already written a sample code, created an index.html file, and here you can see that I'm not using any external script like RxJS or some external JavaScript package, no npm packages, nothing. So this, as you can see, is the native observable API, right? So the native observable API has a lot of these features. So what we're gonna do is go through this, right? So it just has a button, right, with an ID called my button, and I'm gonna be taking a reference of button using document.getElementById my button, right? Simple. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna define a const called clicks, and I'm gonna say new observable subscriber, and I'm gonna say button.add event listener click, and once I click on this, I'm gonna say subscriber.next. So this is exactly how you have seen observables in RxJS. I hope you know or have seen RxJS. If you don't know what is RxJS, I can create another video exactly on that topic. But the whole point is that an observable is created here, and what this is doing is creating an observable called clicks, and I can use clicks.subscribe, and inside that subscribe I can call the next method, right? So next method is typically the core of the observable API, and that next method, what I can say is what happens inside next, and I am getting the event. So this event is passed down from that observable that I've created, and I can just console.log and say something like clicked, and I can pass the event in the console for you to see. So let's go back to the browser, go to this, open my developer tools, and if I click on this, as you can see, clicked, and this is the event. So this event is logged. Pointer event is trusted true, all key false. You get all these native JavaScript object which is logged. As you can see, if you go back to the code, what is this event? This event is nothing but the click event which I have clicked. So this is basically the click event object that we have console logged out, and it's really easy to use, native, no need for any external packages, and yeah, this is basically how it works. I'll show another example. Okay, so in the next example, I have created a sample.html file, and here we're going to do something similar, but a little bit more advanced. So here I have a button with an ID as my button, similar to the previous example, h1 of simple observable demo, and p tag with button not clicked yet. and in the script tag, I'm just checking if type of observable is not equal to undefined. So what this means is if the Chrome browser does not support the observable, it will give as undefined, right? If you have not enabled the experimental flag in Chrome browsers, this is not enabled, but that's fine, right? We have enabled it, and this is just a test to see if the observable API will work or not, and just explore the basic features. So here I'm just defining the button called const button is equal to document get element by id my button, and const output, and I'm just getting it using simple JavaScript, and I'm creating a new observable. Observe this carefully. Click observable. It's a new observable observer. You know, it is creating a new observable, and const handler is equal to, it will take an argument event, and it's saying observer.next event. So we are just invoking that next method on that particular argument, which is the event. And I'm going to say button.add event listener, click and give it to the handler. So what this does is, okay, so this return statement is nothing but removing the event listener. Okay, this is not in context of this video. And I'm going to say const subscription is equal to click observable.subscribe. So what we're going to do is same thing what we did in the last example. We're going to subscribe to that observable. We're going to listen for that data which is coming from that observable. So that observer emits some data, we're going to subscribe to that data. So click observable.subscribe, and the next method is here, which basically allows us to do whatever is happening once that data is received in the when we subscribe to it. Okay, so output.text content, we're going to change the text content of this one, and we're going to say clicked at event.timestamp, right? Or else native observable is not available, right? Simple. We're going to just change the timestamp every time this button is clicked. Now let's go back to the browser, native observable demo, simple observable demo, and you can see the button is there. Click me. When I click it, boom, click that timestamp. This is a timestamp. When I click it again, timestamp changes. When I click it again, keep clicking it again, just logs out the timestamp, just like that. So yeah, this is basically another simple example of an observable without using RxJS, and the whole point of this video was to introduce to you that this API is there in Chrome and it will be rolled out soon, hopefully. So we don't have to use RxJS anymore. Me personally, I'm not a big fan. You know, I like to use as many native APIs as possible. And if you like this video, please do subscribe to this channel, which helps me out a lot.